Hello, third graders. We're going to continue with our story, Leprechauns Don't Play Basketball by Debbie Dady and Marcia Thornton Jones. We're going to be reading chapter 5 today. Before we start in on chapter 5, though, let's review what happened in chapter 4 and check for understanding. So thinking about our characters, we still have the same characters: Melody, Liza, Eddie, Mrs. Jeepers, Carrie, Howie, Mr. O'Grady, and Coach Ellison. Coach Ellison hasn't really had much of a role in the story. I think he won't be one that we will continue to see much of. We're still seeing some of those patterns of behavior for Eddie. We are seeing that he is continuing to be mischievous and disrespectful. Also just continuing to be mean. In this chapter, he tried to trip his classmates with the basketballs. He didn't care about how that might hurt them. Mr. O'Grady, we learned a little bit more about him. He likes dancing, collecting gems, and playing tricks. And he seems to know Mrs. Jeepers, which is interesting because he was asking Eddie about her and seemed to know what she looked like. So we're going to think about that in this chapter. So again, we're going to think about our summary so we can check for understanding. Somebody wanted but so then is always a good way for us to do that. So Eddie is uncooperative. He doesn't want to do the Irish folk dancing and hides behind the bleachers. Eddie wants to make his classmates fall by rolling the basketballs at them when they were dancing. But all of a sudden the balls stop and start rolling towards him. So Mr. O'Grady laughs and tells Eddie the three things that the Irish do to have fun is dancing, collecting gems, and playing tricks. Then Mr. O'Grady starts playing basketball, and Eddie wonders how long his Irish luck will last. Something that was interesting too was Mr. O'Grady was bringing up the people from Transylvania, and that's where Mrs. Jeepers is from. So let's read on. Chapter 5 is called Green Blood. I'm wondering if that is leprechaun blood. We'll have to see. Chapter 5, Green Blood. You'd think we could at least cut out some green shamrocks, Liza complained at the lunch table. Maybe we will this afternoon, Melody suggested as she tore open her sandwich bag. Nope, Eddie shook his head. Mrs. Jeepers doesn't want to have anything to do with St. Patrick's Day, all because she hates leprechauns. What's to hate? Howie asked. They're just make-believe creatures. Yeah, Liza agreed. They're cute, too. Not according to Mrs. Jeepers, Carrie broke in. From listening to her, you'd think leprechauns were responsible for the Black Plague, Eddie said in between bites of an apple. She must know something about leprechauns that we don't know, Melody said. I'll ask my grandmother to tell me about St. Patrick's Day and leprechauns, Howie thought out loud. She's visiting this week, and she was born in Ireland. Melody giggled. I bet you have green blood. You're probably part leprechaun. Oh, that's where the green blood is. Just because somebody's from Ireland doesn't mean they're a leprechaun, Howie said. It was true, Mr. O'Grady. If that was true, Mr. O'Grady would be a leprechaun. Well, he is short, Melody pointed out, and he does carry a pouch, Liza said. I bet it's full of gold. It's not a pouch for gold, Eddie interrupted. All his friends turned to look at him. How do you know? Melody asked. Eddie shrugged. Because he showed me. What's in it? Howie asked. Just a bunch of stupid stones, Eddie said as he bit into his chocolate fudge brownie. He collects them. Melody gasped. He must be a leprechaun. He's from Ireland, he's short, and he's got a treasure. He probably has a pot of gold hidden somewhere. What are you talking about? There's no such thing as leprechauns. Eddie sounded more sure than he felt. Howie shrugged. Maybe not, but Mr. O'Grady is no regular coach. I think we better watch out, he said quietly. Mr. O'Grady is strange. Did you notice how he never looks straight into your eyes? I remember that from the back of the book. Yeah, Melody agreed. He looks at your nose instead. He may be short, Liza said, and he may be from Ireland, but I'm pretty sure leprechauns don't play basketball. It is interesting that he's not looking anybody in the eye. I wonder what that's all about. Everyone burst out laughing, but they grew silent when Mrs. Jeepers walked over to their table. "Did I hear the word leprechaun?" she demanded. I'm looking at the picture, and it seems like the kids are all kind of heavy in conversation, and Mrs. Jeepers looked a little shocked. "No, ma'am," Eddie lied. It's interesting, too, that Eddie says no, ma'am, to Mrs. Jeepers when he's generally disrespectful to teachers. "We were just talking about the new coach," Melody told her. Liza spoke up. "His name is Mr. O'Grady, and he's from Ireland. Isn't that neat?" Mrs. Jeepers' face went ghostly pale, and her eyes flashed. "Did you say Ireland?" Liza nodded. "He loves to dance, so he taught us an Irish jig. You really like him." Mrs. Jeepers' green eyes flashed. "I have no desire to meet anyone from Ireland." "But he's so much fun," Liza said, "and he collects different kinds of stones. He even showed them to Eddie." "Shh!" Howie hissed, but it was too late. Mrs. Jeepers touched her brooch. "So he has found me. I did not think it would be so soon." With that, Mrs. Jeepers hurried away from the table and out of the cafeteria. The kids looked at each other. Eddie finally broke the silence. "What did she mean by that?" Howie shook his head. "I'm not sure, but I think there's going to be trouble." So that is interesting because Mr. O'Grady did seem to know Mrs. Jeepers, and now Mrs. Jeepers is saying that he has found her. So I wonder what that all means. We'll have to read more to find out.